Hello, everybody, and welcome to another masterclass here on Adobe Live in the UK, where you'll find us every Wednesday at midday. Today, I am joined again by my friend and amazing comic book illustrator, David Cousens. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well, thank you, Tony. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much. I know you've had a couple of challenges recently. You've been under the weather a little bit and you're feeling a little bit raw. So
yeah, I'm completely dosed up. So if I start saying anything crazy, that's why.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So apologies to everybody if I suddenly cough or sneeze or lose the thread entirely.
Well, I am sure you will be just fine. Now, at the moment, I'm flying blind. I've got no chat just at the moment, but hopefully we'll get the chat back online for me in just a second. We can say hello to some people as we go. But first of all, if you're watching on YouTube, that's fine. You can go ahead, watch on YouTube. You know, it's great, but you won't be able to get involved in the chat that I currently can't see. But the rest of the community, doubtless, will be able to, and that's where you can ask questions of our fabulous hosts. So while we try and get that back online for me, David, or not how are we doing? We've already established that, but what will we be doing today? We've got very dramatic lighting, by the way. Love it.
I know, I just raised my Cintiq. All the clouds have just come over the sky, so I've got no sunlight in the room anymore, and I've now just got my Cintiq is lighting my face. So I look quite moody.
It's great.
Not flattering, but it's good.
Autumn's great for these things, isn't it?
Yeah, it looked really nice until about 2 minutes ago. Yeah, ignoring my dramatic underlighting. Today, I'm going to look at designing a couple of characters for a comic that I'm working on. And nice. I'm going to go over, just because I never know where people are with things and how much people do or don't know. So I was going to cover a couple of bits about the shape of characters and why we design them that way and stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Any joy with the chat?
Right then. No, it's error loading chat. Please try again. But you just carry on, David. We'll be fine. We can just chat away between ourselves as we go. And we'll get that back online shortly. I could hazard a guess at some of the people that will be in. I'm willing to bet that Sandrine is here, and Kirsty, and Angus, and Stuart, and Oliver. I'm sure there's tons, and I'll find out very, very shortly. We'll just carry on.
Well, hi to all of you, just in case.
Yes. Yes, we will get there. Yeah.
Okay. So, like I said, it's going to design some character stuff today.
Yeah.
I'm working on. I can't say too much about it because it's still early, but I'm working on.
Oh, an actual live project.
Yeah. This is all just started to happen in the last week or so.
Yeah.
But this is a project. It's a comic book that involves Vikings and werewolves. So it's a kind of nice.
I like it already.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I saw the title, I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
This is going to be good. Cool. So yeah, let me see. What have I done so far? So to show one of the Vikings that I'm halfway through designing. Right, okay, PST. That's one.
Good news. I've managed to get the chat, but over my phone. So, so if you see me doing this, David, I'm not just like
you just got so bored.
I'm just checking my Instagram.
I'd just be drawing away, and you were just going heart.
Yep.
Just doing. Were you right on who's here?
Yeah, I was. Sandrine is here. Sean is here, Annika is here, Mike's here, Oliver is here, Andreas is here, guten Tag. Stuart is here. See, I was pretty much on the money with that. Gareth Williams is here.
Yeah.
Ah, so good. And Gareth Hanks is saying, has Tony tried turning it off and then on again? Yes, I have, Gareth. Numerous
Just frantically hammering it.
Oh dear. I've actually got a really good idea as to why this might be happening. So I'm going to very riskily turn off my VPN.
Oh, go for it.
Doing it. So it should be good. Cool. I think that might be the problem. Anyway, right. So Viking type. Yeah. This is how I think I look.
You just need the eye makeup, that's all.
There you go.
Oh, that's so funny. I don't know, look at you thinking, you could pull this off as cosplay.
Well, should you need if you need a set of shots, David, figure F, I'll just go and stand like that in my hallway.
I'll send you a list of reference studies I could use.
Okay, mate, no worries.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we're talking. It's a slightly hyper realistic comic. It's got more of it's based in reality, but we're going a little bit further with the costume design and stuff. So it's just going to be a little bit more interesting than your standard traditional historically accurate stuff. And for this one, I was going to draw Surtur, who, if for people who don't know, they're Norse mythology, or Thor Ragnarok from Marvel. Surtur is like a fiery demon that comes at the end of the world, Ragnarok, and lays waste to everything before the new world can be born. He's not turning up in this as an actual character in this comic, but a character's having a dream. And so like he turns up in the dream rather than the reality of things. And so there's a few... Before I get into that, I do a little kind of primer on just character design, some of the basics.
Yep.
Focusing largely on shape this time. So, go down to the bottom. Sorry, this is because I've just resized my monitor.
That's all right. By the way, Oliver thinks this is how I dress on a normal day.
As a Viking, yeah, with the wolf skull on your shoulder, yeah.
Oh man, I've actually, and actually via a separate channel, I've just been reminded that in the other studio, there's the Viking, which is just next door. The other Viking kit is in there if I need it.
Oh, if only we've thought of this before.
So random.
Okay, so character design. A lot of this boils down into, this is going to sound silly, but really basic shapes. You'll see this a lot also in environment design and lots of stuff. But if I just start to give you some examples. So if we have a circle, I can just add a layer. I thought it was going to beach ball on the first layer. I was quite kind of scared. So circle,
those things happen. Yeah.
So circles are like very, very, very soft. They are non-threatening and they are friendly. Basically, it kind of boils down to like an evolutionary thing of like if something is round, it's soft, it's not going to hurt us. There's no sharp edges or anything along those lines. So psychologically, we've learned to design characters like say Baymax here.
Yeah.
Who is from Big Hero 6, and he was literally designed to be soft and appealing. He's very friendly. He looks nice. There's nothing threatening at all. We've also got like Dougie, who I see almost every day now. My kid is absolutely obsessed. Hey Dougie. Yeah. Again, completely round. You see all these, and say Mario, Nintendo's mascot. Again, Nintendo are typically a very family-friendly company, and so it's a soft line, soft like this. It's already smooth to be nice and friendly and appealing. Yeah. As a slight aside to show how things can change slightly, if we look at Baymax when later on in the film, mild spoilers, he then he gets into armor, and then his shape changes. And so
it's an inversion of the torso, isn't it? It's
suddenly... he suddenly, if you look at his shape here, it's rectangular, pretty much. There's a slight, we've got a couple of, but they're even still rounded edges to show he's still a good character. It's like triangle to show the kind of wings, but to show he's a bit more action orientated. But yeah, he's still the square, or the rectangle in this case, is very it's dependable. It's solid. It's so like you think with square items in real life, those are the ones which aren't going to wobble. You know they're going to be predictable. You know exactly how they're going to be. Often more professional things are square shaped. So like when I say square, rectangle. So like you look at our phones, our computers, tables, like most of these things are square in shape. And so you can really see how just changing the kind of circle shape or an oval into something more square rectangular instantly changes how we feel about the character. Going back to Mario for a second. Mario was, as I said, Mario is like a very soft and friendly character. Back in the early 90s, way back when, Sega hit it against with Sonic. Now, these have been around for years now, but at the time, this was a massive competition thing. And so they made Sonic more distinct. As you can already see, let me just kill that. He's got spikes. So he's faster, he's cooler. He's like all of these kind of shapes. They were more exciting. And that's how Sega positioned him. He was like the much cooler character to play. And they've made a whole thing about it for years. But otherwise, you can see like he's still got the same kind of cutesy gloves. It's got similar soft shoes, and so you can say it's the similar kind of character. I
still have a Sonic on the side of one of my cars in the mid-90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, on the passenger door.
And as we're talking about Sonic and character design, I had to share that. This really shows it, as well as this being. I had this described as nightmare fuel, which is entirely fair. This one on the left. This was the original take of Sonic in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and then the fans and people who were scared of monsters everywhere argued against that he should look more like Sonic the Hedgehog. And so again, you've got a lot more things here. We've gone for bigger, rounder eyes. Let me change the color of my thing. Let's kill that. Let's go to red. Yes, we've got bigger, rounder eyes, which again, kind of they're softer, more appealing, whereas the other ones are much more square. The teeth are so strange in this. It's you can see just generally the face. It's like it's rounder here, and round shapes are just generally more appealing. It is the thing there, basically.
Yeah.
We already touched on this with the other version of Baymax, but when you're looking for characters who are heroic and dependable, and like stoic and strong, you tend to go with square shapes, and you can't get, or box shapes, I guess, and you can't get more boxy than the original Optimus Prime. I mean, he's literally like, there's a box, the whole thing. There's like 2 spikes just on his head, but other than that, every single thing, and he looks strong. He looks there he is. Tony's got one. I have several. We could spend the rest of the stream just lifting up my one.
Oh man, I know. Yeah, just toying.
Yeah. I've got another one. Yeah, and so that kind of works for that. It's like if you suddenly had like a more round version of Optimus, it would seem more cutesy, and if something went more kind of like spiky and sharp, then you'd end up kind of floating more towards the Michael Bay territory. Again, we've got Superman, who now I know this is a person, so I know it's Christopher Reeve, but if we look here, like the way he stood, the shape again, I switched to red to make it more visible, and then I've just gone drawn on a red character. Again, it's another rectangle. It's very, because he could be shot from any angle, he could be photographed from any kind of way, but this is the way he's kind of like fairly straight on, and so that makes us instantly look at him and think, okay, this Superman, this is a character who we can depend on. And then, so to just show a bit of contrast, no, do you know what? I'll leave that for a second. I'll shift that. We'll go to contrast in a second. We'll do one more square character. We've got the guy from Up, Carl, I think his name was.
Yeah, Dave Clayton.
I know, yeah, he's got that amazing photo of him with it. Yeah, completely in cosplay. It's really good.
Yeah, by Glenn Jewis, yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, and again, you can see this in his shapes. You've got square, rectangle, like everything. His belt is a rectangle. That's not an accident. His bow tie is fairly rectangular, even though they can go like much more sharply. His arm, his shape, like basically everything. This guy's entirely cubed. Even like when I was looking for a reference of him, I even saw this one, and you've got the exact same thing again, where even his chair and the shape language. Didn't mean to delete that. Meant to. There we go. The shape language of this is just entirely like squares and straight edges.
Yeah.
And so that works. Now, the last shape we're going for, we've got circles and squares. The last one is triangles. This is basically what we need for character design, really, and environmental design. It's triangular stuff. Now, if I bring back Superman for a second as a contrast, we see from the Spider-Verse, these are all good characters. These are all good, like, heroic characters. But you look at the kind of triangular shapes here. We've got triangle there, the whole thing. And it shows
and that's,
a lot
that's
more...
a good thing for dynamism, isn't it? Which is, evident in Sonic as well. It's,
it's literally the words I was going to say. It's the dynamism in these characters is so prevalent, like everything about them. Even like the eyes, like that's going squinting. Again, I'm drawing red on red. But yeah, you can see that kind of movement. And so that shows that these characters, we instantly get a feel that they're going to be more kinetic. They're going to move around faster. Whereas like Superman, you kind of feel he's going to take his moment and do something. Yeah. Whereas like the spider characters, they already look like they're about to spring into action.
Yeah.
But triangles also have an added purpose in they can look a bit more sinister. As I touched on earlier, it occurs in nature. Shards of glass, thorns in a bush, all of these things will hurt us. Like sharp edges, we're like biologically programmed to be a bit wary of anything that has a sharp edge, and so that plays with us. It unsettles us. The more triangular shapes and sharp edges we see, the more we perceive something as a threat, even on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
So again, for Joker, we look at his chin here. It's a pure triangle. And we've got sharp edges here. His bow tie, actually, like we just said with Carl from Up, he had a very straight bow tie. Joker's is angle. It's all sharp, like his entire suit.
Yeah.
The corners come in. And there's an extra element, which is when we have an inverted triangle, which if we kind of look at him like this, that feels much more threatening to us. Just typically, and you'll find lots of kind of like evil characters will be done in this way. Their silhouettes will be like much darker, and you can, like, even if you just look at the general shape, you can feel like, okay, if we do this all silhouetted in, and then we could have like a character's head there. That's red scribbles.
I mean, some of that, right, is because if you have somebody towering over you, your actual view of that person would be to some degree triangular. So you can give that impression of menace by exploiting the form as you've done. Does this work for female characters as well, David? Is it?
Yeah, to an extent. There was I think of Maleficent from. Yeah. I was going to say Snow White. I think
Sleeping Beauty. I think
Sleeping Beauty. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, she has. I'm just going to Google it. She's got a very similar kind of silhouette.
Lots of angles in there.
Yeah, and there's
also triangles in the Joker. There are triangles, like you say, all over the place. Even in the negative space, there are triangles everywhere. It's all
exactly. Yeah,
really cleverly constructed.
Bruce Timm was amazing. The ways he designed things. Yeah, because we've got again negative space. There's a triangle there. it's entirely threat, like his shoes.
Yeah.
All of these things are completely designed for that reason. And even it's not because we're obviously saying about Bruce Timm, but the design holds over even when you take a different interpretation. So if we say we've got this is the Joker from the Arkham Knight series, on PlayStation and Xbox, but you still look this. Although it's a different take on the character, we've still got like look at this triangle on this nose, basically, and then like the mouth is completely curved, like that. The chin, the hairline, even. And so even though we've not gone for this and they've changed it there, we've got kind of spikes coming off there, and then the tailoring, which is kind of beaten. But yeah, it's so it shows that the rules still hold true, even if you've got a vastly different interpretation. So by knowing these things, it can be really helpful. And it doesn't always have to be bad guys, because you can have, like, say, Wolverine here. But Wolverine is bad news. when he's in a bad mood, this is not a guy you want to mess with. And you just instantly go like, okay, he's got these ridiculous head things, but they're triangular. He's got these huge blades, very dangerous. Like these shapes, these serve no purpose other than to make us feel a bit unsettled. Because they'd be ridiculous in real life. And then he's got, again, like spikes down the side. His teeth are actually done with slightly more angular, kind of like to pronounce the fangs. And then I want to just finish up the little thing just by showing a contrast, because we've got let's hide that. The original Mario had the original Bowser. So talking way back when. And
so cool.
You can I know, it's great, isn't it? So you can see how he's got more spike, like more triangular shape language than Mario does, but he's still part of it. He's still like quite this like soft shape. I just killed the entire layer again. Yes, but he's still got these spikes. These ones are quite rounded. But if you, again, with different interpretations, this was from a game called an expansion called Bowser's Fury. And you can really see how you can push these things for different interpretations. So these spikes are massive. And then we've got these spikes which are soft on here. So they're now coming out. We've also got other things in play, like they're playing with the contrast. This is much darker, and this is like really flat and much less threatening in that respect.
Yes.
There's another fun aspect not related to shape, is that, well, partially, because Bowser's silhouetted here against the sky, we've got rim lighting showing off certain things, so we can see the spikes, the important parts they wanted to show us. But the lack of being able to see any of the internal shapes is actually kind of, it's almost like it's intimidating. Is that not knowing what something is makes us more scared because we can't entirely understand it. Whereas this Bowser, it's a lovely flat color, but we can completely see what's going on. Whereas like here, like our mind has to guess about what's going on with this kind of this Mega Bowser or Bowser's Fury, and so that's an extra way that shapes can play in. And you can see that they're still so important, even though they've silhouetted it, you still do get those things highlighted. So you can see like there, which you might not have the light there, but they found it important. And so that's basically basic intro to shapes.
There's a bit of a character chat going on in the chat about favourite characters. Loads of Batman in there, which is really good. Stuart's favourite Spider-Man. Daryl Fickling saying larger mouths, smaller eyes also help with the character.
Yeah.
And Tim saying Captain Vexillology, which is good. Tim, of course, well known for his phrenological excitement, and he does like a bit good old Vexillological
I have heard
chat.
that rumoured.
Yeah,
he
does.
The eyes are a good example, actually. I mean, we get the smaller the eyes are, they're much harder to work out.
Yeah.
What emotions and things going, and again that plays into our like paranoia, because if you want to make something really nasty or untrustworthy, we take away its eyes, the more cute and appealing we want something to be. Which I don't have examples for this, but you think like Wall-E is just these big, sorry, rubbish line work that was. They're big eyes, and then it's got like a little box body.
Vanished for a moment just to get one.
Whereas
I sat next to the robot shelf today, so we're kind of lucky.
That's awesome. But say if you went to, I'm just gonna bring one in. So Phil, I'm just Starship Troopers. The bugs in Starship Troopers were designed to be really unlikable.
Yes.
If I just drag one in, I don't think you can even see the eyes on most of these things. Yeah, we don't know. And again, look at all these kind of jagged and horrible shapes and stuff. Whereas there have definitely been, look at any of the Pixar output or anything, Bugs Life.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've got my share screen stuff over my commit transform. Right, okay, cool. There we go. Yeah, but eyes are a very big one. If you'll make something cutesy, give it big eyes, like Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Give it big eyes and we'll all love it. Right, so. Okay, so going back to what we're going to do. The character that I want to design, as I said, was Surta, who typically was drawn as like a Viking giant, basically. He was like a big man, big beard, and had a flaming sword. And then other versions have also gone down the because he was a creature of fire. They've gone with like a demon thing, which the Marvel one went really heavily into. Thor Ragnarok really did that. So I don't want to do that because it feels like it's been done. It's like I've seen like thousands and thousands of like fiery demons and stuff. So instead, I'm definitely going to avoid having any kind of horns. He's not going to have. Okay. Not going to have like the that's the one from Thor. Yeah. Or any kind of horns like that or anything. It's going to be much more. But I do quite like the fact that it's a demon, so we do know. So bearing in mind the shape language.
Angus Mackenzie in the chat was asking a little while ago, actually, about your preference for red and blue lines. And I guess your approach is very similar to mine in that I work with, I leave the dark colors typically until the end. So is that how it works for you?
Yeah, it's I used to use blue, funnily enough, and then there was an artist I saw who just said like red energizes him more, and I thought I kind of prefer the color red typically. Yeah, and so it's always a case of I would draw like if you. Where was my thing? Hang on. I think I've dragged up the screen. There we go. Yeah, you can see here. I've used red lines to sketch in the basic character shape, and then just to mix things up. So I knew I was just in costume details. I did the blue. Just so, like let's play with these shapes, and then I work up the final black lines. Although in this particular one, I got impatient, and I was like, there's certain things I just want to draw, which is a terrible habit, and you don't do that. You draw it all that properly first.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that the trap that a lot of people fall into, right, is that they start drawing a face, and then they dive in and they start getting all wrapped up in the details of and then realize that everything else is way off.
Oh yeah, it's a huge problem. I mean, even with this guy, you can see. If I just actually open this one, rather than just constantly hiding it. Okay, so yeah, with this guy, if I make it look bigger, if I take away the lines, you can suddenly see. His head is a load bigger there. Yeah. And it's because I drew him, and then he still looked imposing, but he came across a bit short. And so then I just quickly, once I've made the lines, I just free transformed it until the head was smaller, because then obviously you can make the character look bigger and more impressive. But yeah, it is one of those things where that's often where this kind of thing helps out, doing the multiple layers. So yeah, that's a good question, Angus. You sit over there.
And also, Michelle earlier was asking about do you 'cause I think I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. But she was asking, do you write comic books as well as illustrate them? And the answer to that is yes, isn't it? Because isn't Falling your project? That's written by you as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because I originally I just drew stuff, but then I realized that I don't know whether it's just by part of being an illustrator as well. I've always loved the storytelling aspect of things. Yeah. And I've loved comics just for as long as, literally as long as I can remember. I've been reading comics like right as a kid. And then finally thought, okay, yeah, I'll do this myself. I should do this. And then realized how hard it was. And so I spent a good couple of years going back and learning about storytelling. But yeah, there is some stuff in the works. It's good fun. Nice.
So it's going down well in the chat, mate. People are enjoying it. It's what's this one from Gareth? I think blue is less important with digital than it was with traditional, where they use non-photo blue pencils so they wouldn't photocopy. It's still a thing.
I've still got some,
Dash. Yes, I've got some out in the other studio over there. I was just having a look to see if there was any by my pencil roll, but there aren't. But Karen Dash do a non-repro blue pencil.
I've still got
very.
I do. Not a big argument with my wife, but I was not very happy when I had a massive batch of Prismacolor blue, which are really nice quality pencils to draw with, and she got rid of them, saying like, "Well, you barely draw anymore with pencils." No, it's like I can't even buy those off eBay now. Like they don't make them anymore. But they're great. They're lovely to draw with. Right, I see. I'm already going to change what I'm going to do here, just for the people who can understand my scribbles, because this is a fairly good action pose. But as Tony said earlier, if something's looming over you, it looks much more impressive visually than it does if we're actually above the character here. If we look at eye line, we're kind of looking above there. So we're slightly taller than this character. So that's going to change. And there's a lot of that in character design stuff, especially because this isn't going to be a traditional turnaround, because he's not turning up repeatedly. So I don't need to be as accurate with things. I can fudge things.
And this is absolutely the thing, right? And this is the stuff that people often don't see, is the construction stages of working out a drawing and how, and it's the most important part. Is that I always think that any of these things, right, are like any design, illustration, character design, any of those things, it's the foundations that make the end result look good. If you spend time on the actual construction and laying it out before you actually do any detail work, that's where you're going to get the best result.
Oh, it pays off literally every single time. It's complete false economy to rush into something and say, okay, I'll just do this. It's so much better to get stuff actually sorted properly. I've got like a weird neck thing going on here. I'm kind of imagining him looking down from above. I've moved my mirror away so I can see everything right now. I normally have a mirror which I would look at and get a position in, which is probably for the best, because you don't want to see me pulling silly faces in the mirror.
That's the thing. There's always a mirror on my desk, and that people must think I'm like dreadfully vain, or it's there for just beard shaping or whatever. But it's always because, you just kind of, if you're trying to imagine what an expression looks like, it's so much easier to just make the expression.
Oh God, yeah. I would give this advice to anybody who's drawing anything. Yeah. If you're trying to puzzle something out, get a mirror or take a photo, or if you've got somebody else around to take a photo for you or whatever, it's so much more valuable. And you'll find out that it's not cheating, which is like a weird thing that people seem to say sometimes. Like all of the big animation studios do it. The people who work at Studio Mir, I've seen footage of them all acting stuff out. Even for like big CG stuff, you will do it and you'll get, and they go, okay, that's how that works, because your brain guesses so many details so wrong. Yeah. Although I say that now, I'm just drawing stuff from imagination. So.
Yeah, but you can't draw what you haven't seen. Well, I mean, the thing is, David, you do it all the time, right? So you've got a very good visual memory anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
True.
and a command of form, of human form. So, you know, and that's the thing. This is, you know, it's the same question. Doesn't matter what you're trying to learn. That it's do it more, and it will become second nature to you.
Oh yeah, I mean it's yeah. For a good example, you can do things. If you do them enough, you can do them without thinking. Because I can draw from memory. One, two, three, four, five, six.
There you go, broken down nicely. Deadpool is my party trick. I draw Deadpool real quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's enough to draw Mario. I can draw the whole Mario
Yeah,
face.
mate, that was working really well. Yeah.
But yeah, I said the rest that's not that interesting to watch. But yeah, it's so for the moment.
That's good.
I'll try to think on.
And Daryl's saying that working this way is like working with a lump of clay and refining the shapes. You start big and you work small, and that's a pretty good way to do it. Yeah, you chip away at what you want, or you move some of the shapes around.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I mean this can be quite chaotic at this point, where it's. Yeah. I mean, hell, I hopefully this is making sense to people like what they're looking at, but it might just look like a load of red nonsense. But
No. I think we can all read that. That's pretty good.
So what I sometimes do when this is going, I might say just lower this down if it's getting a bit too noisy, and then just draw a second one over the top, and just kind of like hone in on the bits which I like.
That's the great advantage of a digital workflow, isn't it? You can just.
Oh god, yeah.
Have you tried doing any character design stuff inside of Fresco yet? Have you tried that when you're on the go? Have you given that?
No, I barely leave the house, to be honest. On the go.
Well, I mean, yeah, there is that. You know, it's been like that for a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Weirdly.
I was as a freelance illustrator. I'm one of those people that when everybody else was getting shocked about how to adapt with not leaving the house, I was like, "Did this for 10 years."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know exactly how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. This is guesswork, but just something instinctively felt like that kind of shape might work for a mouth. Because I'm not going to have him, as well as avoiding the typical double horns, which come up like that, or have him be made completely out of fire like the Human Torch. Part of Surta's description was he was, as well as a creature of fire, he was is described as swarthy. So we're kind of talking dark-skinned, and so I think I could push it a bit further, and have it so he's kind of like half made of molten rock, slightly with fire creeping through just through his face, maybe. And I'm not going to go with Viking armor because, although he's part of the mythology, that doesn't make sense because Viking armor was all made to keep you warm. And if he's a fire creature, that's not an issue. And sometimes weird stuff like that is what you have to think about when you're designing characters.
Yeah, not your typical day to day, huh?
Okay, so go for this kind of crazy brown. Let's bring in some spikes. Let's try that. Let's go larger. That was starting to feel a bit like there's a Marvel Comics character called Death's Head.
Right.
And that was looking like one of his original incarnations. Which again is another risk you have when you're designing characters, is you've got to try to work out when you're borrowing something.
Emma questioning my use of the phrase "on the go," and she says like going to the couch. And yeah, exactly that. The thing is, when if you've got something like a big Cintiq in front of you, you're going to probably work in Photoshop. But the time I find myself using Fresco most is actually when I'm sat on the couch. You know, 'cause the iPad's much less wieldy than a great big Cintiq on your lap.
Yeah, I always, it appeals to me. I think I'd quite like to sit down on the couch and scribble stuff, but I've had to, as part of work-life balance, like what with having like 3 kids and a wife and a dog and stuff, like I have to shut off. And so it's like this, oh my God, it's so dark. I've just seen my camera. Getting darker and darker.
No, it's
it's eventually, and you're just going to see part of my face just underlit, and that's it.
There's just not enough white space on in Photoshop. That's the thing, because you've got them in floating windows there.
Yes.
There's illuminated by tablet.
Sorry, I can turn on the light. That looks crazy. It's so dark.
Fine. We're watching the work, David. It's fine. There you go.
There you go. You can see all my toys and stuff now. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's tilting this way. Oh, it's a funny little kind of cheaty pro tip, which I got from an artist called Ethan Becker, who works at Studio Mir. This shape works really well for dynamic poses.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to twist. You can have somebody punching up. Look at that. They can be crouched over, like ready to fight. It's one of those weird things. It's really, really versatile.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to shrink this down a touch now because I want to see more of him. I'm going to tilt it more so it's at an angle. Because I think as well, part of the legend of Surtur was he had a flaming sword.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool, but what if that was actually part of his hand?
Ooh, a literal extension of his anatomy.
Yeah. I see. This is one thing you get when it's live. You suddenly see the ideas come up. Let me see. Now, would that look better with this arm?
So he's a lefty. Oh no, that's his right arm. Hello.
No, that bit's right. I'm just trying to think.
Right. Yeah. I was having a moment.
It's me that's under the weather, not you. Or do we say that one?
I'm very lucky for the colds and the poorlies, you know. I'm quite resilient in that regard. But do you know what I swear by? Is I have 2 spoonfuls of honey every morning. And I'm sure that in some way protects me. It probably doesn't, but I believe that. Yeah.
No, as well as obviously there's a kind of I've lost the word for a medical thing that doesn't actually work unless it's in your brain.
Oh, like a placebo.
Placebo. Yeah. No, the placebo effect may work in, but no, there is some science in honey. And I have real honey, not the farmed stuff that you buy in supermarkets. I always buy it from local beekeepers. The other thing is I've been told, and there is some research to bear this out, is that if you have allergies like hay fever, you can be helped through those to some degree by taking local honey, because you build up an immunity because the bees are fed from the local flowers and stuff there, and can help with some things. So I'm told. I don't know. Always do your research. Yeah, because I think it has to be local honey, doesn't it?
It does have to be local, yeah, to where you live, yeah.
Got that. Let's say. No, do you know what? I'm going to have. He's going to be a righty.
Yeah.
Because if you were hanging, let's think, if you're holding a sword.
Yeah.
We're talking. You'd hold it kind of behind. But if it's an extension of your arm. No, I don't like that.
I'm interested in your angle there. You see, to me, I think I'm just interested to see where you're going with the angle, because to me, I kind of feel. Well, I'm interested to see where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking?
Well, I was just thinking it would be. I was just thinking it might be interesting if if the line of it was moving more across the left thigh. But I'm interested to see. It's your drawing, Dave.
No. I'm always really curious. Like, if I'm trying to think. So, what? So the sword going along?
Yeah. So if the sword moved across to the right in the illustration, so it was passing over the left thigh. That's just what I was thinking. Not that I'm art directing you or anything.
So I do have one.
I wouldn't dare.
He did used to like art directing me live on Skype.
Well, there we go.
Which was. So are you thinking like down here?
No, I'm actually thinking about
across?
A complete chat, the opposite direction. Yeah, so that, but even took more. So between that and horizontal, so it's almost crossing it. Yeah, around about that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's give it a shot.
Just out of interest, I just think it looks like it's either completed a swipe, or is
Yeah. There we go.
I don't know. What do you think?
Let's see. I think if this works, I'm going to claim that I just did all this by myself with artistic genius.
Okay, cool.
Okay, hang on. If it can work. I need to change his pose slightly. Actually, that might not be a bad thing. Okay, so let's do this. Let's have him hunched over instead. So No, I might just need to completely redraw this head. I'm not sure. So we'll keep that just in case. Again, another benefit of digital.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to need to redraw that one. That's fine. So let's go.
Yeah, Daryl's saying that the weapon over the leg gives a looming feel to the pose. So we're over there. Yeah, Stuart. Yeah, it gives the sense of power. Art director Tony, make it 23% more left. Thank you, Sean. Dunker.
Make it pop.
Tim said that actually earlier. So good.
Oh, that's always what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Do people still say that? Is that
yeah, they do. Unfortunately, yeah. It's because I think it's in that one day that marketing people spend talking about working with designers, and they say these are phrases that really, really do it for designers. Make it pop, and they'll change all the colours and make the logo bigger.
Yeah, all of these things will be very warmly received.
Yeah. The designers will love you because you're speaking their language. I've got a point. There's another friend of mine, Bonnie Siegler. from the New York. Well, she used to be in the New York agency 17. She now has her own agency 8.5. That being because there were two people who founded 17, and when they went their separate ways, and she started 8.5, of course, being half of 17. She has a book called Dear Client, which should be a manual that you give to every new customer that you have as a designer, because it's such a good book.
I think
So
I've heard
good.
of this actually. It's like a collection, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is a collection of things that people say, you know, and a designer's honest responses to them, like, we don't care what your wife thinks, because that's another thing that you get. You present a design, yeah. Well, and then they phone you up and they say, yeah, Tony, I've shown this to my wife, and she says that, you know, it should be so and so, and you think, okay, fine.
It's always great when they show somebody across the street, and you think, oh, okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if your wife is like someone like Paula Scher, then fair deal.
Yeah. Context is king.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Optimus just wants to have another look. Have another look, Optimus. There you go. Do you like that? Yeah. Yeah, is it good fun? Yeah. Excellent. Good. Thanks. Oh God, now they all want in on it. Wally wants to look as well. Oh, look at that.
I love Wally. It's such a good film.
Eva. Tim's saying, step one, make sure to ask for a mix between option A and B. That's another one. Giving you these two options. Yeah, we want both of those things. Yeah. Did you see any of Max, Dave, while you're drawing? Did you see any of Max last week?
Not as much as I wanted to. No, because there's quite a few things I need to catch up on.
Yeah.
What were the highlights for you?
Everything.
Because
everything I've seen so far and I'm yet to see.
Yeah.
No, there's some great stuff. I enjoyed the sneaks this year. There were some interesting things that projects that may or may not make it into final products that were cool. There's a new but there's a thing now, an AI assisted, that are almost all of them AI assisted or AI powered. Yeah. There was a great thing between making a video from two images, so two dissimilar images. It's capable of working out the subject and creating a small video between them. Just incredible.
I saw something which I quite liked, where they took two photographs and literally it was like it would take the subject from one and then remix it so that the background of the sky was completely different, and I think it changed the lighting as well, so it didn't just look like you'd taken one and put them together.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things. I mean, the sky replacement algorithm in Photoshop, which got a little bit of an uplift before Max, actually, well before Max, about 2 months before Max. That's got even cleverer with changing the colours in a scene to be more harmonious with the new sky that you inject into it. Really cool.
That's really cool.
Have
they was there something about so it's because I've had a busy week watching kids who've been ill.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I was curious on the periphery. Was there something about perspective guides in Photoshop? Fresco has got perspective guides. Okay. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 point perspective. So you can adjust the vanishing points. So they're actually pretty good implementation of them. Actually, really good. Because that
really good.
That's something I really love if they brought into Photoshop. So, like, say now, I can just go, bam, here's a perspective thing, and then go, like, here's a city behind them.
I mean, I don't know if that work is underway or even if they're in at the moment. I missed a lot of the Photoshop updates, so I'm going to be updating myself today actually on that. I was excited with some of the stuff in Illustrator.
Yes,
which is the new 3D effects, which are really cool.
You were right. This fire sword leaning over. That's really good.
Yeah.
Imagine that's some kind of.
Yeah. See, I think that works pretty well. I think that's a nice. You happy with that?
Because he's threatening and. See, this should now start to be making more sense visually to people, I think. This is kind of the point where
it's working well.
I can't think who it was who made the comment earlier in the chat, but yeah, somebody said it was like finding it in clay, which is very accurate.
Daryl, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I think it was Daryl. I can. Pretty sure. Having a quick scan. Look, wow, there's lots going on in the chat today.
There are some. This gives some pandering. There were some very nice people in the chat because like last time, a lot of them. Last time I was on, I had some very nice messages from people afterwards.
Oh man, we've got the best community here. They are lovely, lovely people. Really lovely.
Yeah, there was a lot of them as well. They were very nice, and the people took time to literally send like private messages saying about what they liked and things they're looking forward to. It was really nice.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Kirsty's in the chat now. Hi, Kirsty. Daryl's asking, actually, do you do silhouette tests before character designs? Do you ever do that technique?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it's I don't. I probably should do it in a different order, but I would tend to do something like once I've designed the character, I will then completely black them out as a silhouette, and then it's kind of so yeah. Partially, I kind of get to that point. I don't start off with a silhouette and go, okay, that really works, and jump from there. But I'll have it so the character's kind of like silhouetted, and I'll say, actually, yeah, you can see that they're missing something here, or this looks off balance, or then you can play with it, and then I'll tweak stuff back in the primary design because the silhouettes are very important actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, any famous character you can see from silhouette if they're designed well. Let's say. Now, where did I have?
Oh, apparently it's Kirsty's birthday. Happy birthday, Kirsty.
Oh, happy birthday, Kirsty. Sorry, gas.
Tim in with the flugelhorn. Got some runes going on. Love it.
Yes, now the ones. What should we go with? Strength is one of them. Strength was it? A fire. I'm just going to see if there's a way I can add these.
Oh, incorporate those into the. Yeah. Let's go harvest because it's literally just going to kill most of the world. I love that you've got some of your actions in button mode there.
Oh, which? I'm trying to think.
Is that down the bottom? Oh no, it's not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I've got kind of. This is. I think I mentioned this previously. This is a layer factory.
Yeah.
This is an add-on.
Sorry,
it is good though. It's like multi-layer move is superb on this.
Yeah.
You just highlight a selection, select the layers, and then do it. And it solves a problem I used to have when I was trying to move multiple things on layers, and you do something that a clipping mask wouldn't move.
Yeah,
I don't quite know how it works, but it's fantastic.
No, it was me being lazy. I wasn't looking closely enough. I thought for a minute it was actions in button mode.
No, I do have. I got the default one. This is because I changed my screen size. So I'm trying to find everything all the time. No, I do have a number of actions.
Yeah. Do you know there's this wacky thing called workspaces, David, that you could use that would mean you'd know where to find panels and all of that stuff.
Oh,
I'm just throwing that out there. Call me a maverick or whatever. But, I just think that's.
I really upset you and Tim with the non-docking panels.
Oh man, no. You work how you work, but it's.
Some call me maverick, some call me lunatic.
Yeah, we are.
Mostly lunatic, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
I think all creative people are slightly unhinged in some way.
I think, I'd go with that.
I don't know if it's, without getting too philosophical on it, if there's an element of, we're just so used to trying to think of things in different ways and trying to find other solutions that we don't always come at things the way a sane person would.
I don't know about the term unhinged. I prefer the term not boring.
Yeah, we'll go with yours. That sounds nice.
Yeah, not boring. Yeah. Gareth saying he has non-docking panels. Thank you very much. Well, like I said, everybody works the way they want to work. If you want to spend your time hunting around for panels,
there's two of us.
We do see the world differently, Stuart. Yeah, and Oliver's saying if everyone thought the same way, we'd never have any new ideas.
That's very true.
Yeah, and it is okay to be wrong. Also, of course, it is. But being wrong, you learn things.
Actually, it's the best way to learn.
Oh yeah.
That was what I found. That was one of the hardest things I had to creatively come to terms with. Was
accepting mistakes.
Yeah, realizing that it doesn't have to be right the first time, and to be honest, if you screw up the first time, it's most likely going to get a better result. If you luck into something the first time, and go, okay, cool, that worked. You really limit what you achieve.
Yeah. Not only that, I think if you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing the boundaries hard enough, and you're just going to stagnate.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, that's if you have the same working method, and you're still doing the same thing in 5 years' time, I think that's the alarm bell should be ringing.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I still always draw stuff, sketch stuff out and then do line work for the majority of what I'm drawing. But the methods I will use, the construction methods, the influences, all those things, you change up over time. I think you've got to keep learning new things all the time.
The difficulty, of course, is if you've got a long burn project going on, like you have with Falling.
Yeah.
Is that you can't make too many changes, because otherwise, by the time you get to the towards the end of a project, the style's changed. It's gone along, which
this is one of the horrible things actually with Falling in particular. I shared publicly about the first 7 pages, and don't get me wrong, it looks nice, but I would do so many things different. Well, I will, because I'm having to scrap that and start again. But there are so many things which I've learned from either laying out comics or drawing techniques, or even just thoughts on character design or costume design and stuff. There's so many things which I would now do differently that I cannot return to how that was. Which it does hurt, because you think like, oh, I did some stuff there and some of it was nice, but I think it's better to. Sorry, go on.
Go on. Sorry. No. You.
I was just gonna say, I think it's better to. It takes a certain amount of bravery to just say, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to call that there, and not just keep going with like the sunk cost fallacy of just keep going and go because you've done something. It's braver to turn and just, you know what? I give up on this, and I'm going to approach it differently. What were you going to say?
I've got Oh no, I've got a long burn project that I've been working on for 23, 24 years, I think now.
Oh, really?
And it's I only get I only get to work on it around about this time of year, actually, because my year tends to settle down a little bit. Around about the beginning of November until mid-January, and so I get to work. That's the best time for me to work on it. And a few years ago, well, a couple of years ago, actually, it was almost exactly 2 years ago, I looked at where I was with it, which is quite a way down the road, but decided I hated it.
Oh, no.
And I wanted to, the structure of everything was fine. The story itself is fine. Everything else was fine, but some of the original characters I've moved so far on since in that time frame that I thought, no, do you know what, I can't. I like the original drawings for what they are, but they're not part. I decided they're not part of the final project, so I went right the way back in reimagining the characters, and I'm kind of almost finished on that now, so I can start start stitching everything else together. What
kind of did you want to say? I don't want to ask if you're not prepared to talk about it. Like what kind of?
No, it's a children's product. This is it's a children's product, but it's that's all I'm going to say. It's just,
okay.
I've had it for absolutely years, but I just want it to be. It's got to be right before I go anywhere with it. And so my family ask me about it at this time of year because they know I'm working on it at this time of year. Is that coming out next year? Maybe. And then over the last couple of years, it's been no, definitely not this year. But 2023, I reckon I'll have it done.
What kind of what are you using to make it? What kind of formats it can be?
It'll be digital. It'll be 100% digital. Because that didn't, of course, exist when I first started on it so much. I mean, digital did exist, but there were things that were. So when I originally sketched it out, the mid 1990s, when I originally sketched it out, the idea, and it would have been a book then. But then as things started to change, I thought, you know what, that something will come along at some point where this might change, and it did. And so, it's going to be 100% digital book now. But it's got audio in it, which I've also worked on. So I've worked on, there's some music in it, which I've also put together. So, I had a limitation with a looping thing a few years ago, which I've now got around. So, the technology has made it possible for me to make this thing work. Because believe it or not, looping MP3s is harder than you think.
No, do you know what? I often think that whenever you go into something that isn't your normal wheelhouse, there's so many stumbling blocks. Like I started to learn Blender a couple of years back. Because I saw somebody use it for grey boxing an environment. And I thought, that's really smart. You do a lot of it without doing the heavy lifting. So you go box, that's there, you've got your thing. Yeah.
Google SketchUp I use for that, or Trimble SketchUp.
Yeah. But crikey, there are so many extra things to learn, and so many things where you do something and you're like, I have no idea why this is happening now, and I'm sure it's something really simple.
I like pushing out into different things like that, and whenever you are, I think that's so. I hosted 2 brain dates last week, during Max on keeping creativity going. And this is the thing, you know, it's doing things that you don't normally do, listen to things you don't normally listen to, even eating food you don't normally eat, you know. It's all goes into this big melting pot. Gareth's asking me if I'll be using After Effects to make it. No, Gareth. It's all HTML5, the animated components. So there you go. Is it going to be The Adventures of Tony, an audiobook? Yeah, and it's going to be 19 hours long, and you have to listen to it all in one sitting. Daryl's also lost in the Blender world. Of course, Adobe are contributing to the Blender project now, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thought of integrating some of it would be really nice.
There's a Blender plugin, you know, that can extrude or can extract 3D from 2D images. I know that one of our
Oh, really?
So Julia Seeger, my friend, also one of our hosts largely for Adobe Germany, but also on here from time to time. She showed it to me a couple of years ago. Could input a 2D image and it could work out a 3D scene from it. Yep. So 3D from 2D unicorn. Yes.
Okay, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. So Gareth's saying I will be using After Effects, as you can use Lottie's built-in AE and export to HTML5. Yeah, there's a couple. It's not as straightforward as you might think, Gareth. To be honest, it's really not. Which is fine if you're just doing it that way, but there's a limitation to what some platforms can support.
Yeah, that's often a problem.
Yeah. Sandrine's lost in the world of After Effects right now. It's good. Have you done any After Effects stuff, David? Have you tried bringing any of your characters into After Effects?
It's on my list of stuff to which is to keep constantly expanding. No, it massively appeals to me, funnily enough. Well, not funnily enough, it's quite obvious why it appeals. Because there's lots of things, I think, where you can add a tiny bit to like what would be a static illustration. And like I like it when people do environmental things with them. So like if you got a character standing still and you maybe like animate it's like hair movement in the rain or something.
Oh, cinemagraph styling.
I don't like it when it goes too far.
Yeah.
It's when you start to when the images start to get a bit too fudged, like they're trying to do something in replacement of actually drawing the movement. That doesn't always work for me, but I do like it when you so there's like say on the Hearthstone game I think used to do it where like you will have like it'll be like a mostly static image but something will happen, like there'll be some lava bubbling somewhere or some atmospheric dust will be coming through. That I think is nice. Maybe clouds
you've got
even.
dust, and I think on last time we were together on here, David, we were talking about dust particles then, I think, for into an environment. Got to have some dust.
Yeah, it does wonders.
Do you ever use Flame Painter plugged into Photoshop?
No.
Do you know that one?
Yeah, but
from Escape Motions, they've got it as a standalone desktop product, but you can also, once you buy that product, you can plug it into Photoshop and use it in Photoshop.
Was it called something else, or was it? Because I've done stuff for Escape Motions, and I had a feeling there was some kind of. It was like it was like a plugin. I think it was a plugin, but it would take you out of Photoshop briefly, and you could do your stuff, and then you commit it, and it would come back in. And that was actually quite nice.
I think that's I think that now you can actually work with it directly in Photoshop, or maybe you do still have to go back out and come back in. But I haven't used it for a little while. It's at version 4 now, but
I will have to take a look, because if you can do it within Photoshop, then that would change a lot, because that was my only real downside to it, was that when you had to drop out and do the stuff and come back in, and then there was a bit of a disconnect with it. Whereas if it's actually been integrated, then that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'll double check. And by the way, that for you, lovely community, if you haven't already, come along and join our Discord. Jim's just going to pop that into the chat for you, where you can chat amongst yourselves, you can look at work, you can share work on there. Great place to go. So yeah, come along and join our Discord. Let's have a look how we're doing for Tan. We've got about 15 minutes left now, David. So just so you know.
Oh, cool. I got so completely distracted just by drawing. I had no idea what.
Oh, no. It's all right. That's what we're here to see. And how is it temperature-wise? This is a very British thing. Let's talk about the weather for a moment. What is it like down in Swindon today? Because it's not very warm up here.
It is cold.
Cambridge.
It's cold. I mean, when I'm not completely dosed up on Lemsip, I'm feeling it even more. It's I've been, it's because it is cold anyway. I think it's about 9-10 degrees, I think. But no,
it was -1 when I went out this morning, apparently, or the real feel was -1. It was 1 degree when I was in the car. I had to scrape frost off the car. So I had
that's always fun.
Yeah. I mean, I could have waited for the car to do it, but I just thought, I've got a day.
I've only just recently realised that you can use cold water just as well as warm water to remove frost and stuff, because it just literally just breaks down the bonds of the frost and the ice. Yeah,
you should never, ever, ever use warm water to it, because the temperature difference can cause the glass to fracture.
There we go. There's all kinds of useful advice coming on this stream.
No, I had to learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
It's always nice when you can live with somebody else's problems.
Oh, man. Daryl's saying Hearthstone website is a perfect example of how 2D animation works with artwork in AE. Ooh, yes. I'll have a look at that.
Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah. And Tim's just dropped the Discord link into the chat, as I predicted he would. My mental powers, my sort of phrenological excitement that I have.
I think that's twice.
Nice. I'm getting all the good pointy stuff in there.
Yeah. Sorry, I realized I've just been drawing without really talking about it. So yeah, I was thinking with this that we'd have some kind of transition. In the way that lava kind of breaks up. Oh god.
Yeah.
Lava / magma. The way
fragments and yeah.
And so if we start to do that, and so it's literally he's generating the sword. It's part of him.
Oh yeah, very good.
And so you can just imagine like he's holding out this would just entirely be what instead of a hand.
Yeah.
But it's got a hand on the other side because asymmetry is always good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, there's still balance there. You could fit that into, it's sort of like you said at the very beginning, it's about fitting that base geometry together and thinking about the boundaries of things. And that's how things work.
Absolutely. And then we tend to find, when I get to this stage, this is, there's a lot of experimentation, and like I just suddenly, I don't know why, I thought maybe he's got these, like where his abs would be. These just kind of more hard shapes, but that's one of the things, you know, sometimes there's that percentage of instinct when you're drawing something or designing something.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. That may stay, that may not necessarily.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to experiment. So what technique actually, this is another thing which I never used to do, is drawing the blacks. Like this is only the last year or so, I think.
Right.
Because it's like a time-honored comics tradition to draw the blacks, but because I used to love cartoons, well, I still do love cartoons. You never get solid blacks in cartoons, and that influenced me. Like for a long time, I would never do it. And do you know what? You can literally see it in. What's it? This is not like a sales pitch because I don't get anything from this, but this is dry. this is my first graphic novel.
Yeah.
And if you look through, because it was drawn over a period of time, so 4 issues, the earlier stuff, there's no, let's see, there's like no solid blacks on anything at all. Like all the shadows are shadows.
Yeah.
And then at some point I changed the way it's working, and fortunately it still fit close enough stylistically that it didn't break the book. The way it looks, and I'm going to try to find no great examples.
You see, I'm a big fan of old school inking. I do still like traditional ink styling. Art form in itself, of course.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting to see. I think inkers are really underrated. Really undervalued, because a different inker on an artist that we used to see it like in a regular comic can really impact the whole thing.
Absolutely. Inkers and colorists, they're all, you know, there's a reason why those things are separated.
Oh, color's massive. There are so many books that I've got where I love the artwork and I love the inking. We're talking back from early 2000s, about kind of around about 15-20 years ago, but they just started to use computer coloring a lot, and they all completely overwhelmed the artists. Like all of the artwork, they just, like, even if they just suggested like one, if I draw it on the thing, so they suggested like a nose like this, and then you just had like the eye there. They would then, so there we go, just to give it context. But then you'd have they would render all of the shading and stuff really,
and completely lose the high key effect. And
it was, and I really feel for there's so many books I've got from around about that period where I love the art and I just wish you could have more, not in like a George Lucas tinkering with it way, but just an artist with like a Dave Stewart or somebody with more sensibility to just say, no, let's just let the art do its thing and work with it, rather than everything having specular highlights and overpowering it with color. But you know, personal preference. But that is another thing I love about digital, is that it's come on so far with the colouring and the things you can do now. I remember the day I discovered colour lookup tables. That was really, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is so good. Yeah, previously I've been using overlay layers. With like color fills and stuff, and then suddenly, when it was a mixture of gradient maps and color lookup, they really they can really bring a page together.
Oh yeah.
Actually, that's another thing you can see on that graphic novel, which I did. The first one you can see, it's suddenly about book 2, issue 2 rather. It's like something. It's suddenly just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's already unified, and you get much more. You can see the mood I was going for with things.
So Angus is saying there's some great tips coming out here. Surely we need another session. Well, of course we do, Angus. Definitely.
Angus, you're a star. I'm just kind of pleased that people can. You always kind of get a bit worried, like when you have stuff like this. You think like, well, I draw stuff, but like, who wants to see me do that? If that makes sense.
Well, everybody. So there you go.
No, it's lovely. It's me just like chatting away, and as we've discussed before, it works having you there as well. Because if I was doing this by myself, I would suddenly just lose. I wouldn't speak for about 10 minutes. I think people get bored.
It's yeah. I mean, that's why we have hosts on. We have had people who do stream on their own, but it's they've got to be talkers.
Yeah.
And it's
there you go.
It alleviates you of that responsibility. That's the thing. You know, it just makes it and more fun. You know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's nice because it's always nice to catch up with you. So it's.
Yeah, Linda's saying in the chat that she wants to see you work. I want to see you, David. Stuart's saying lots to take away from this that you can, which you can incorporate into other illustrations. And Becky Wolf is saying, "Hey, David, it's Becca. Is this someone you know?"
Oh, hey, yeah, yeah. No, Becca's lovely. She about a year or so ago, I drew an image of. I did a redesign of a transformer. And it was one that she particularly liked and connected with, and she won't mind me saying it. She was going through a bit of a hard time, and that image really connected with her. And she's been like really supportive of me. It's really, really nice. Like she like suddenly started to like say about what she liked about my stuff, and then so we ended up talking. Yeah, we're friends now. It's really. It's one of those things where the internet does something nice.
There are good things about the internet.
Yes.
The mere mention of the word transformer, Optimus Prime just had to pop in.
Don't make me do it. I've got loads. You won't win this arms race. It would just be the rest of the street. People would be like, why would they just show up their Transformers toys?
Oh, I don't know, David. I've got quite a lot of robots over there.
Oh God, now I really want to see those.
There's loads. Loads and loads and loads. There's robots from... do you remember that show that used to... Robot Wars? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sergeant Bash.
Sergeant Bash is up there. Yeah. Yeah. The one with the big shovel on the front. Can't remember what it was called.
I was going to start
the one
listing
that looks
names.
like a hedgehog. Yeah. And then the one that was essentially just a wheel and a spike.
There was always one that just was basically like a wedge of cheese. Did...
Oh yeah. That flipped things over, had a flipper on.
It was just one thing, and it just seemed to, unfortunately, it seemed really overpowered because it looked really dull, but it was like this aggressive triangle that could just flip them, and that was they couldn't write.
Oh, the names are coming out now. Sir Kill-a-Lot. There you go.
Sir Kill-a-Lot. Do you know what? I was actually going to list a few, and I suddenly panicked because Shunt, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's an episode of Spaced where they do a thing on Robot Wars. And I didn't want to get those names confused because some of the ones in Spaced are rude, and I didn't want to start listing them and just suddenly have something like, oh no.
Yeah, oopsie, yeah.
I said the wrong thing.
Yeah. Well, just because we've literally into our last minute now, David, Gareth's just asking, which Transformer did you redesign? And I think I've seen these on your Instagram, right? I think I saw these.
Probably, yeah. This was Bulkhead.
Bulkhead.
Bulkhead
Or in
from,
fact, actually, Becky put bulkhead in the chat. Sorry. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I just like the design. I think he came from a Transformer show I hadn't actually seen, but I saw the toy and there's something about it resonated with me, and I thought that's really cool. And so I want to then do a more. Oh, we're in the last minute. I'm not going to have time to find it, am I? Let's have a look. Let's see.
No, we are. Well, we've got a couple of minutes we can run on, so we're okay. A minute.
Right.
Alexandre's just joined the chat. Hi, Alexandre, mon ami. Kirsty's saying this stream has been amazing. So there you go.
Oh,
that's your birthday
Kirsty.
present from us, then, Kirsty. There you go. An amazing stream. Oh, yeah. I see it.
There we go.
Nice.
So yeah, I was doing. The only thing I would change about it is I would make his arms slightly stronger there, because he looks like he could take a bit of damage in retrospect. Because he looks super strong, but that looks like a serious weak point to me now. I just think like he could.
Well, there has to be a weak point in things. It can't be, can't be the whole.
Yeah.
Can't be strength the whole way through. Unfortunately, there has to be a delicate bend point. But, there you go. Stuart's just saying that he loves these streams. Very chilled and informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alexander's going to watch us on the replay. Becky's excited to see the Transformer. Angus is saying, excellent, David and Tony. Thank you so much. More. So there we go.
Thank you, Angus.
Fantastic. Oh, mate, it's been great spending this time with you. Hopefully not too long before we can do this again.
Yeah.
I know you've got quite a lot on with the old projects, so I hope they're all going well. And I hope you feel better soon. You've been a real trooper.
Thank you.
Working
as soon as this goes on, I am going to just die on the floor.
You have. You have, and I felt so sorry for you when you came into the green room and said, I've got to be honest, I'm not feeling great, but you're there and you powered through it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, seriously, the rest of this afternoon is a wash now after that. I'm just going to go lie down for as long as I can.
Well, just take it easy, my friend, and just keep it all going, yeah? Okay, right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Don't forget, we're here Monday, Wednesday and Friday at midday in the UK for our amazing stuff. We've got some great things coming up soon. So do keep an eye on that. And of course, you can always get involved in the community and chat on our Discord. A link for that in the chat. But for now, from David and myself, it's cheerio and see you next time. Take care now.
Bye-bye.